The top 3 greatest point crashes in Wall Street history, at least up to the last Shemitah, 100% of them took place linked to the biblical year of the Shemitah. The Shemitah is actually linked to the coming of Messiah, linked to end-time prophecy, linked to the book of Revelation, and linked to the Antichrist. How? When the Jewish people were in exile for 70 years, remember, they're in 70 years for a period of 490 that they didn't observe the Sabbath year, 70 years judgment. Then one of them is praying, and he's considering how long we're going to be there, and he's reading the prophet Jeremiah, and the guy's name is Daniel. Daniel's praying, and all of a sudden he sees an angel. An angel comes to him. Gabriel says, you've been praying. I'm going to tell you now the secret of how long you have. Not only are we going to go back to the land, but also we're going to bring the Messiah. The Messiah is going to come. And it's like everything, all prophecy. So let me tell you how long you have to seal up all vision and prophecy and make an end of it, of sin, like Messiah. It says this is how long? 70 sevens, okay? 70, these are the famous 70 weeks of Daniel. It says 70 sevens of years, okay? How long is 70 sevens of years? 70 times 7, how? You see this group, it's like amazing, especially that side right over there. 490 years. So do you notice something there? You had 490 years where they sinned. You know, one of the sins was the Sabbath, but they sinned all over. 490 years becomes reduced to 70 years, Sabbath years of judgment. Then he starts with 70 again, and now multiplies it by 7 to come out with another 490 of prophecy, of redemption, of the coming of Messiah. It's like reversing it. So how long? This mathematical thing, you'll find it in Daniel 9, this mathematical template is actually going to tell you exactly when Messiah is going to come. It's amazing. But he leaves out 1/7 at the end. 1/7. There's the last 7, or the last 7 years is left out. And then it says in Daniel 9, it says, then the prince will come, talking about the Antichrist, and he will make a covenant for 1 week, or you make a covenant in the middle of the week, the last 7. So what's that? You know what the last week is? Last week is the tribulation period, book of Revelation. It all comes from this mystery of the Shemitah. And in the middle of that 7-year period, it says middle of the 7, that's 3.5 years, that's the Antichrist. That's all what you read about in Revelation. So all behind all of that is linked to this thing that most Christians don't really know about, the Shemitah. Now, this tells us there's more to the Shemitah than we would think. It's determining the time of judgment. It's determining the fall of a nation, end-time prophecy, coming of Messiah. So could there be more to it? You know, God made the whole world. He made the patterns. He made this mystery of 6 days and then 7, 6 years and then 7. Could this manifest, because this is showing God's sovereignty, God's reality. Could it actually manifest in ways even in the modern world? What would the Shemitah be in the modern world? I mean, what would it translate to? A year of not sowing and not reaping, and modern times, you stop making money. Well, in economics, it's a recession or a depression when all that stops, or that. What's the wiping away of financial accounts in that last day? They wipe away all debt, wipe away the ledger, wipe it away. Well, how does that happen in the financial world? When the stock market collapses. So interesting, because the words we use for Wall Street and finance are actually linked to agriculture, like the Shemitah. Seed money. When you give money, it's called seed money. When you invest, it's called, they'll say you're sowing. You're sowing it. When a stock yields, it's called financial yield, like yield of a farm. Sowing, financial reaping. Accounts come to fruition. Money bearing, investment. All that comes from agriculture. So I thought, what if there was a link? What if God's template concerning the 7-year cycle could manifest even into the modern world of his reality, of his sovereignty? Now, not that it would always have to manifest, and we're not under the law, and we can't put God in a box. I'll say that a few times. But what if it could manifest at times? When I began to look into it, I saw some amazing things. I first shared it here at Beth Israel before I even wrote The Harbinger. I first shared it in 2009. I put a chapter in The Harbinger about the Shemitah, and then people wanted more. And there was so much interest, and my publisher said, you got to write a book. And I was reluctant to write a book because I know people tend to set dates and put God in boxes. So I said from the very beginning, you cannot say nothing has to happen. It's up to God. But here are the connections. Interesting, because when I started then later on after that started, Googling, many Wall Street investors then heard this and started talking about the Shemitah and started talking about Wall Street. So I finally wrote it. It was called The Mystery of the Shemitah. I don't know if we have it here or not, but the connections, there were stunning connections. And I can only give you a little taste of this, but because we're on this actual day once in 7 years, I think it's important. Now, unless I say otherwise, what I'm talking about, much of what I'm saying, is dated from the last Shemitah, when I say the past 40 years, but I'm going to go beyond that too, we'll talk about right now. The key time, first, of this financial release, the Shemitah, the end of the year, that year, financial release, change the accounts. When is it? It's autumn. It's September. It's when Elul 29 comes, it's going to be in September, October. Mostly September, generally. So therefore, could there be any correlation between the collapses of the stock market and this time of year that the Bible ordains for the releasing of financial accounts, cleaning them? Well, it's amazing because many people on Wall Street will tell you the most dangerous time of the year for the stock market is this time, is September, October. And Wall Street actually speaks of something they called it the October effect, the bank panic of 1907, October. The stock market crash of 1929, Great Depression, October. Black Monday, 1987, October. Except that those who went deeper investigating it, they said actually the month that has the most stock market crashes of all the months of the year is September. And generally it was September that set in motion those October crashes as well. Now that's just when this time comes in the Bible. The original Black Friday was September 24th, 1869, as far back as that. Black Wednesday happened on September 16th, 1992. The greatest point crashes in stock market history up to the last Shemitah took place in September 2001 and then September in 2008. The greatest stock market financial crashes that always cluster around this time. I mean, there's exceptions, but they cluster. Now Wall Street can't come up with a reason for it. There's nothing that would say it has to happen then, except they don't know, except the Bible speaks about this. Up to the last Shemitah, in the previous 40 years, there were 5 major long-term financial collapses, long-term. Every single one of them, listen, took place 7 years apart. Not just at the time of year, but now the 7 years apart. Every single one of them happened. And not only that, which 7 years? They happened at the 7 years of the biblical Shemitah. How many of them? Every one of those that I just said. In fact, the majority of the long-term collapses of modern times converge around the time of the Shemitah, the 7th year. Now, that's against the odds. It should be 1 out of 7. But it's all over. The top 3 greatest point crashes in Wall Street history, at least up to the last Shemitah, 100% of them took place linked to the biblical year of the Shemitah. From the Great Recession to the Great Depression. 1937, the Shemitah begins. The very next day, Wall Street collapses. 1931, the Shemitah reaches its peak wipeout day. It ushers in the greatest month-long wipeout in stock market history. But the mystery goes farther. If I'm going to show you now, actually, I'm going to show you the actual charts of these things. I want you to see something because it's going to look like, if this is going to happen, it would look like a mountain. Stock market's rising, Shemitah comes, is it going to affect it? If it will, it'll look like a mountain. Now the Shemitah came in 2002 and 2001, most of 2001. I want you to look at that time. That is the stock market going up from 1995, 96, 97, 99, hits 2000, hits the Shemitah. Look what happens. That was the crash, the tech bubble. Everything started collapsing. Now it comes. The next Shemitah took place at the end of 2007, most of 2008. Are we going to see anything of that? Put that up. You see that second mountain? That is 2008. That's the next Shemitah. You see the 2 mountains there? Those are the two Shemitahs. Those were the two greatest crashes up to that point. The second one is the Great Recession, greatest financial collapse since the Great Depression. Now let's go even deeper. In September, and I can only give you a taste of these things, but I want to give you a taste so you know where we are. September 2001 came 9/11. 9/11 caused the stock market, if you remember, to be closed down for almost a week. It reopened next Monday on September 17th. That day came the greatest point crash collapse in American history up to that day. Well, what day was it? On the biblical calendar, it was Elul 29. The very day that financial accounts are to be wiped clean. And here it is. I want you to see it. Do you see the line on the right? You see that line? Do you see that line coming down? And you see the line of the graph? That's the actual day of the Bible. That's Elul 29. That's the day of wiping out. That is right there. It wasn't just Elul 29. It was the once in 7 year Elul 29 that's actually appointed in the book of Leviticus. And that was the greatest stock market crash in history up to that day. Hi, I'm Jonathan Cahn. Thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. I hope you were blessed with the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Feel free to share your reactions with your comments and how you were blessed. And share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.